A new leader, the same rhetoric. Egypt's new president warns there will be no reconciliation with those who've committed crimes. He said fighting what he calls terrorism will be a top priority. So what changes, if any, can Egyptians expect under Sisi's rule? This is Inside Story. Hello, welcome to the program. I'm Hazem Sika. Egypt's new president, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, was sworn in Cairo on Sunday. To his supporters who had gathered in their thousands in Tahrir Square to celebrate his inauguration, Sisi is the man who will restore credibility after years of political turmoil. But his critics fear he will become yet another authoritarian president in a long history of military leaders in Egypt. During his inauguration ceremony, Sisi promised to deliver on the people's demands for democracy. But he said fighting what he called terrorism will be a top priority for his government.
In order to achieve national dignity, social justice and coexistence, there will be reconciliation with everyone who sees Egypt as his or her nation. But those who killed the people of Egypt have no place on our path. I'm saying it in a clear-cut way. Those who killed the innocent and who killed the honorable people of Egypt have no place on our path.
Egypt's new president didn't mention the Muslim Brotherhood by name, but many saw his remarks as a thinly veiled threat against the group. Sisi is, of course, the man who led a coup against Egypt's last democratically elected president and Muslim Brotherhood member, Mohammed Morsi. Since then, the government has led an aggressive crackdown against the group, jailing many of its members. The Muslim Brotherhood was formally banned as a terrorist organization late last year. And before coming into office, Sisi reiterated the group would not exist if he became president. Well, let's bring in our guests now to talk more about this. In Doha, we have Mukhtar Kamel. He is the president of the Alliance of Egyptian Americans. Also joining us here in Doha, Ashraf Abdul Ghaffar. He is a senior leader of the Muslim Brotherhood. And joining us on Skype from Cairo, Hisham Qasim. He is a journalist and publisher. Mr. Qasim is also the former chairman of the Egyptian Organization for Human Rights. Welcome, all three of you. Mukhtar Kamel, if I could start with you. Now, the new president there talked about stability, and there is no doubt there are many Egyptians who support that after all of the turmoil of the last 3 years. But the question many other Egyptians will also be asking is, at what price is that stability going to come, given all of the concerns about human rights and the crackdown on dissent?
That's really the core of the question that is going to be raised by everybody during this immediate coming stage of the new political regime in Egypt. The trade-off between stability on one side and personal and social and civil freedoms on the other side. And it really depends on the president, and it depends on the formation of the parliament that's expected to just be effective after a few months. I cannot predict how the president is going to handle that particular issue. However, I do hope that he would follow a balanced approach, and he would not, in his trade-off, sacrifice a lot of freedoms for the sake of stability. Otherwise, it may very well backfire.
Ashraf Abdul Ghaffar, you are, of course, a member of the Muslim Brotherhood, an organization that has been banned by the Egyptian government and branded a terrorist organization. Although, as we mentioned there, President Sisi did not mention your group by name, but he made it pretty clear that there will be no place for your organization under his leadership. Where does your movement go from here?
Well, the condition or the question, who said that Muslim Brotherhood is a terrorist group? Abdel Fattah al-Sisi was one of the ministers with Mohammed Morsi, who is one of the leaders of Muslim Brotherhood, and he gave his consent that he work under his control. So suddenly, Muslim Brotherhood became a terrorist. Muslim Brotherhood was working in community of Egypt in the syndicates, medical syndicate, engineering syndicate since 1984, and was working till that time, till the revolution or till the January revolution. Who said that we are terrorists? Who said that we are working in a violence? There is no any evidence. If you would like to say that I am terrorist, you have to give evidence. You have to give it to declare how and where and what. All the trials of the courts, you see, thousands and hundreds of people has been hanged or has been to decide to hang for nothing, to kill for one person, for example, and they didn't kill him. So we cannot say who's terrorist, who's killing. When he discussed now, Abdel Fattah Sisi yesterday saying who kills the innocent people, it has to come back to him. Because Abdel Fattah Sisi, after the coup, killed the innocent people in Rabia and in Nahda. Thousands of people has been killed. Thousands of people has been killed without any accusation. Thousands of 37 people has been killed inside the car of the Ministry of Interior for nothing, and after that they gave nothing for the people who killed them. So we have to find out who's the terrorist, who's making terrorism. Is Abdel Fattah Sisi is a terrorist? Yes, he is a big terrorist now all over Egypt.
Hisham Qasim, what is your take on all of this? And if you can respond as well to some of what you've just been hearing there. And I want to ask you about the fact that many of the secular opposition groups who were behind the 2011 uprising, many of whom as well supported the initial removal of Morsi as president in last year, say he has, what's happened since then has been a revival of Mubarak's police state, and they fear that this will continue now that Sisi is president. What do you say to that?
Well, on the issue of civil liberties, it's going to be a rough ride. It's not simply Abdel Fattah Sisi's call. There are lots of other powers in the country, the revisionist powers that do not want to take things forward. However, I have no doubt that that's no longer possible and that things will have to move forward. That's on one front. But when it comes to the Muslim Brotherhood and the way they have been excluded, I don't think it's simply Abdel Fattah Sisi. I think any other president in his position, after the serious disappointment we had in the Muslim Brotherhood, was going to take the same position. They basically got 40% in parliament and insisted on not sharing power. Barely made it with 51% with the help of secular powers who were against the Mubarak regime, and again tried to draft a constitution that was going to change the identity of the country for people like myself. Initially, I was disappointed in my fellow liberals saying, give the Brotherhood a chance. And then I began to express my disappointment in the Brotherhood. But after the declaration of 22 November, which even Mubarak did not have the audacity to do, and calling it a constitutional declaration, where it was basically a breakdown of all the estates in the country, the judiciary, parliament, and giving Morsi the supreme power, I said these people are a threat to a democratic future, a menace to a democratic future. Now, after the 30 June, in which the military and Abdel Fattah Sisi were the last player, the fallout began with media, with the judiciary, with the police force, with the foreign office, with the church. We never saw a church, in the Church of Egypt, being actually attacked by the police, except under the Brotherhood, and the Azhar again as well. And then the military moved after giving an ultimatum for a political reconciliation. The other option of not moving was we were going to see serious bloodshed. The Brotherhood had been rejected by the nation, and if they want a political inclusiveness, they need to come and sit on the table of Egyptian politics. But right now, they are regarded as a supremacist religious cult that think they are higher than us. They will teach people like myself better Islam and bring fellow citizens, the Christians, into the faith and make them see the light and force it upon them. They're not a political entity. They perceive of themselves as a divine group, a group with a divine mission. And finally, they started threatening to use violence if they were pushed out of power when they refused to negotiate.
All right.
And then they resorted to terrorism.
Okay. So let me put some of that. Let me put some of that back then to Ashraf Abdel Ghaffar. I mean, what Hisham Qasim is essentially saying there is your group had your chance and you blew it. I mean, when Morsi was in power, his whole period as president was tarnished by accusations that he abused his power. There was that announcement in late 2012 of almost near dictatorial powers when he said he was above the judiciary and the legislature. There were accusations that he mismanaged the economy. And we saw those huge crowds in Tahrir Square that filled the streets of Cairo almost a year ago, demanding his removal. So the sentiment there is that the Muslim Brotherhood and Mohammed Morsi missed a huge opportunity, and much of the situation that they're in right now is self-inflicted. What do you say to that?
No, this is not right, and I'm sorry to say that most of what he said is wrong, because no one has been attacked the churches, for example, from Muslim Brotherhood, and the churches had been...
Well, who did those attacks then?
We don't know. During the last time of Mubarak, the Church of Qaddisin in Alexandria has been bombed during the celebration. Muslim Brotherhood has
But there were an unprecedented number of attacks that took place against churches and against Christian businesses in the days after Morsi was removed from power. So who was behind that?
You have to remember that Maspero happened during the military...
I'm not talking about Maspero, I'm talking about the attacks.
This is Christian as well.
Right.
It was attacks from the military to the Christians. This is the first thing. The second thing, that the declaration of Morsi doesn't take more than 3 to 5 days, and he banned it again when he finds that it's not accepted. But how many declarations, for example, Adli Mansour had been done during this time? A lot of declaration. But the difference that when Morsi have given a declaration, all the media, all the Egyptians has been speaking. But now when Adli Mansour doing anything, no one has to give one speech, either Mr. Hisham Qasim or the other, or any liberal person. Liberal person has been disappeared. All these people after 30th of June, nothing. And you will not hear after that from them anything. I declare as a senior leader of Muslim Brotherhood that Muslim Brotherhood has never, ever, now or before, getting to any kind of violence against Egyptian or non-Egyptian people, because we give seriousness to the humanity, not like Abdel Fattah Sisi. You have to go to Amnesty International reports, you have to go to Human Rights Watch report, to all the reports of which is not Islamic, which is not related to Muslim Brotherhood, to see how abuse of human rights has been done during these 10 months, which is after the coup of Abdel Fattah Sisi. This is the condition.
I want to turn back to Mukhtar Kamel, and I want to ask you, I mean, you represent a group that represents Americans, Egyptian Americans. What are you looking for from Sisi in the initial months? And there are concerns as well in Western countries who are alarmed by what they see as a crackdown on dissent in the country following the ousting of Mohammed Morsi as president last year. An indication of that, of how the fact that they've given this kind of a cool reception, haven't they? They've only sent ambassadors and low-level representatives to the inauguration. They are taking a kind of wait-and-see approach. Is that pretty much the way you'll be seeing it as well?
Indeed, that's pretty much the way we are. We look at it. We do attach hopes that the new president is going to really follow the spirit and letter of the roadmap, meaning that he is going to be really working for genuine plurality in the country and apply fairness and justice. Having said that, we find a problem with the MB, and we find that there is a kind of a gridlock in the way of reconciliation in between the Islamists on one side and the other secular and civil political forces on the other side. Number three, we realize that the underlying problem